Alright, folks, I just got out of the theater from watching Poor Things, the new film that just came out. Stars Emma Stone, Willem Dafoe, Mark Ruffalo, Ramy Yousef. It's a great movie. I really thoroughly enjoyed it. And for those who don't know what it's about, it's basically, it's based on a book, but in basic terms, it's kind of like a version of Frankenstein, where this woman, she commits suicide, and then this mad scientist finds her body, and this is where the twist comes in. Not only resurrects her, but resurrects her with the brain of a child. So he takes the brain of a baby, puts that baby's brain inside her head, and then resurrects her. So it is a fully grown woman with the mind of a child. And this is basically the movie about her discovering life and what it's all about and its possibilities. And it was really fun. It was a really weird movie. Like, this is going to be a movie that's definitely not for everybody. It's very dark. It's very weird. It's very twisted. But it's also a comedy. There's some really funny parts in here that I really thoroughly enjoyed. It's been a bit controversial, considering the main aspect is just the overwhelming amount of nudity in this film, because there's a lot, like a lot. But it's a core aspect of the story and the character. So it was necessary. It was important. There were some points, where I thought, like, okay, this is a bit much, but, it's rated R. So, you should expect stuff like that. Language, all that. But really, the performance is the highlight of this film. And, obviously there's a lot of Oscar buzz around this movie. That's one of the biggest reasons I went to go see it, for Emma Stone in particular, and deservedly so. This, I think, truly is the best performance of her career, and she totally deserves to at least be nominated for Best Actress, if not win. Honestly, for me, it's between her and Carey Mulligan in Maestro. But Emma Stone, I think, should take the cake, because she's just phenomenal in this film, because she just had to, you have to have such bravery and be so comfortable and fearless to do a movie like this, to do a role like this. The vulnerability she shows is insane. And also, like, it's such a new way of going about life that she's adapting here, because I watched an interview with her. I watched the Actors on Actors from Variety. She did the interview with Bradley Cooper, and she talked about how she at first started studying, how children walk and how infants will talk and how they begin to learn things and stuff like that. But then she started to realize that this is because of how different this is. It's not the same thing. It's not the same situation. It's very different. And she really showcases that extremely well, I think. Because I know if I was in the role, I'm an actor too myself, but I know I definitely wouldn't have, imagined doing some of these things these particular ways that she showcased them. But the rest of the cast also firing on all cylinders. Willem Dafoe, great as always. He was really interesting here, because he's the mad scientist that created Bella. And even though he's got some darkness to him, especially his history that you find out about, there's some really dark stuff with him that he talks about. But you can see how much he actually cares about Bella, how much she actually means to him, and how he tries to kind of hide that away, but he knows deep down that he loves her. And speaking of loving her, we got Ramy Yousef as kind of the love interest here. He was fantastic. I really, really enjoyed him. He's the character I related to the most, because, nice guys finish last, and that's a great example here, because he's, the nice guy who's taking care of her, who actually has feelings for her, who's actually in love with her. And then you got Mark Ruffalo coming in, basically kidnapping her and just abusing her and taking advantage of her and using her for sex, basically. And Mark Ruffalo in this film, again, another fantastic performance, but so different from Mark Ruffalo. I think he totally deserves, again, at least to be nominated for Best Supporting Actor in for the Oscars, the Academy Awards, because he's usually like a nice, charming, charismatic guy in films. Here, no, he's a real douchebag. He's a real bad guy. He's very unlikable, but somehow still a little likable at the same time. He has some really funny moments. He has some really cocky, again, douchey moments as well. But, you do kind of feel for him a bit at certain parts. And this movie, another thing I want to talk about, first of all, the score. The score is phenomenal. One of the biggest highlights of this film. It's disturbing in a way, but still whimsical and full of curiosity, which I think is really one of the big themes of this film, is that, you get to see Bella go through these stages and develop as not only a character, but as a person. And, that's one of the things I love about this. Any movie you watch, the main character is going to develop. They're going to become a better person, hopefully, or most likely, depending on the movie. But here it's, usually it would be like a minor change, not a minor change, but it could be a major change. But here it is a hugely significant change, because she goes from barely being able to talk, barely being able to walk, to being a fully developed human with her own ideas, her own passions, and her own grasp on life, without just letting all these men in her life control her, which I thought was great. I thought that was fantastic to see. And again, you have those stages, and that was another thing Emma Stone talked about, was that there's like 5 stages throughout this film for her character that she goes through, that she develops through, and each of them was really interesting. You also have these kind of title cards that pop up that will give you the location. And for the first couple, I was like, that's kind of weird. It feels, a bit jarring, a bit out of place. But as they went on, I actually went to quite enjoy them. Also, it makes it easier for me to talk about them. A lot of people really didn't like the boat stuff. I really enjoyed the boat stuff for the most part. The Paris stuff is mostly what I didn't care for. That was when she was really getting into the, doing stuff with guys and getting paid to do it. So there was that. And, there was some really weird stuff. The world building here is great, because it is like a science fiction story, but, with a realism to it. So I really enjoyed that. And so basically it's a really interesting experience, this film, because again, it's very mature, it's very adult, there's a lot of graphic stuff going on here, and there's very dark tones, but there's also that comedy, and again, just that kind of whimsiness and curiosity at the base of this character of Bella Baxter. And so I really enjoyed that. I really enjoyed going on this journey, and there's a character that's introduced in the third act. Like, I thought the movie was over, and then suddenly this guy shows up, and I'm like, whoa, plot twist. There was another big plot twist and reveal towards the end as well, which was really exciting and made so much sense, though. But yeah, it just goes in so many different ways, so many different directions. It's a lot of fun, but again, not everybody's gonna like it. It's really weird at points, but you kind of just have to be on board with it. And I'm hearing lots of Oscar buzz for this film. I think, again, deservedly so, particularly for Emma Stone and Mark Ruffalo, I think, as well. Everybody did a great job here. Again, the score is fantastic. The cinematography. Yorgos Lanthimos, that's the other thing I want to talk about. The director. I don't think I've ever seen one of his films before. This is my first Yorgos Lanthimos film, and I loved it. I really love his style. He's really creative with the shots and the camera, like what you're seeing. There's a lot of shots where it's like almost like you're looking through a hole in a door, like a keyhole or something like that. Like looking through a really tiny hole and just getting like a small view of what's going on. I thought that was really interesting. It just added some really dynamic levels to the tone of this film. So anyways, guys, again, I really enjoyed Poor Things. Definitely one of my favorite films of the year. It'll be in my top 10 list. So stay tuned once we get closer, in the next week or so, closer to the end of 2023. I'll be doing a top 10 movies of 2023 video, so stay tuned for that. But guys, did you see Poor Things? Let me know in the comments below and what you think about it. So thanks so much for watching. Please drop a like if you enjoyed this video and hit the subscribe button so I can keep up to date on everything goes on in the movie life.